Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. Our first guest today is Tim Cooke of Agape In Home Care. And today he's going to explain why you need to take a break. Your loved one's life may depend on it. Tim Cooke is a serial entrepreneur who found a new passion for redemptive business that focuses on the triple bottom line of economic, social, and spiritual return. In 2018, he and Pastor Alexis Ruhumuriza from Rwanda co-founded Agape In Home Care to serve the growing number of seniors in Washington State while also serving the underemployed. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Look forward to digging into this topic. We've had a lot of conversations about our seniors, and what I love about your business model is I can tell how much you care.
Yes.
Just in the name, right?
Yep.
And we've talked a little bit off the air. So before we get into the business model, let's talk about some of your hobbies and interests. What do you do when you're not serving the seniors?
Anything outdoors.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm an outdoorsman right now because it's winter in the Pacific Northwest. Backcountry skiing is the name of the game.
Excellent.
That's skinning and putting skins on the bottoms of your skis, skiing
so
up,
you can ski uphill, right?
and then take them off and ski downhill.
So I assume you've got some avalanche training.
I do.
I hope
Area
so.
1.
Yeah. There you go.
So skinning, what kind of skin do they use?
Well, in the old days, it was seal skin, but that is not PC in
Not
the Pacific
PC.
Northwest.
No.
So they're synthetic skins.
Okay. That's interesting.
There
They
you
don't ski backwards. They grab it.
Correct.
No,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
So we'd like to ask each guest to tell us a fond memory about the home you grew up in.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I'm local. I was born in Overlake Hospital, actually, so I grew up on Somerset Hill. And,
Right behind us.
yeah, less than, more so a memory about the neighborhood. And it was kind of everything about the neighborhood. There was a community pool there. So summers, here's a fun memory, is tongue-in-cheek, right? My mom used to feed us breakfast, then lock us out of the house.
Yeah.
She was a great mom. She still is a great mom. And so not literally lock us out, but that was what we did,
Like
is
summers,
go outside,
bye-bye.
be outside, go ride your bike up the hill, go to the pool.
Yep.
We were on swim team and diving team when lawyers allowed diving boards in swimming pools.
Oh, they don't allow
They
it
don't allow
anymore.
it.
Oh,
Not
man.
really.
What a
And
bummer.
then you ride the bike home for lunch
Yeah.
and then back out again.
That's awesome.
Mm, yeah,
Yep.
that's
Until
great.
the streetlights come on, right?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That's awesome. All right. So, as an entrepreneur, I was reading your bio, and it says here you got a tech background. We live in such a great area. Why not do a tech startup?
That's kind of a surprise to me, too, because I would have thought that would have been part of my journey. So it's less about me finding this industry than it finding me. I learned of kind of a new business platform called Redemptive Businesses. They focus on the triple bottom line, not just economic return, but social return and spiritual return. I learned of a man named Pete Oakes, and he's one of the leaders in this movement internationally. And as soon as I learned of what he was doing, I flew to Kansas to witness one of his businesses in operation inside a state penitentiary. The name of the business is Seat King. They manufacture seats for all sorts of purposes.
Okay.
With the prisoners, their recidivism rate has dropped to 8%. I believe the national average is about 68%.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And so I was sold. I fell in love with this concept or idea, and then I just needed to figure out a way to apply that.
So both economic and, like you said, what did you say?
Social
and spiritual. Yeah, that's
Capital.
awesome. So you can actually go out, make money, and you're making the world a better place.
At the same time,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a either or, which is a misconception. A lot of people think you have to create a for-profit business that solely focuses on maximizing shareholder value or a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So what drew you to in-home care specifically?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great question. I met my co-founder at a networking meeting locally here in Bellevue called Kairos, and I introduced myself to him. If you've been to general networking meetings, you shake hands, you talk about news, sports, weather, you agree to have coffee, and then you never talk again.
Uh-huh.
That's the normal way.
Yeah.
Well, by the end of our conversation, he had shared his struggles with his congregation. He's a pastor locally, New Hope Revival, and with the congregants, driving them from job opportunity to job opportunity, and nobody was really looking out for a career path for them. And so I asked, well, what do these people do? And he said a vast majority of them are caregivers. And from that probably 5 or 10 minute conversation, that was the seed of Agape In Home Care. And by the way, a lot of your listeners might not know, agape is a Greek word. I think you picked up on it. Is a Greek word for the highest form of love. It's considered unconditional love.
That is fantastic.
Yep.
So it says here our topic is Take a Break, Your Loved One Life May Depend on It. That seems like a very bold title. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
Well,
somebody's life depends on taking a break. I like that. I'd like to go sit on the beach and take a break.
and write it off as a medical expense,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, what ends up happening is somewhat of a downward spiral. Nobody goes into life just thinking and predicting that something is going to go wrong with a loved one. Oftentimes, this is a married couple. It's idyllic to think that we're going to grow old, holding hands, rocking on the porch. Well, that is rarely reality. One of the two of us will age more quickly than the other, leaving whoever's the more healthy in the position of being the family caregiver for the other. Well, if not done carefully and well, the stronger of the two, through giving of themselves in the caregiving of the weaker of the two, becomes weak themselves and can no longer care for the loved one.
Right.
And they get themselves into an issue or a problem.
Wow. So what are some tips you can give to help avoid the downward spiral?
Yeah, there's several. One of them is just being realistic. Don't try to be a hero. So know what you can handle. You cannot handle everything. So get a support group around you. Surround yourself with advisors. There's hundreds of people in my industry who would love nothing more than to care for people, give free advice, and help people through tough times. Also, schedule downtime. Downtime doesn't just happen. You have to be purposeful. So if you know that you're entering a caregiving journey, a family caregiving journey, assume that it will be longer than you hope or think, and start scheduling those outside activities. Me being an outdoorsman, I would prefer it be outside, literally, but more so I mean outside of the home.
Just that sometimes that level of being so overwhelmed because you're caring. Often I think caregivers, and if you probably even look at like the nursing industry, is sometimes they're the last one taken care of.
Correct.
Because there's so much, in that spot, and now you have the counter of what you wanted by over-caring, being the one 100% responsible for that. But, there is inviting somebody into your home, and into that space could be difficult. What is wrong with the common misconceptions that occur in your industry? Like, people don't want to invite just a stranger to come in.
Sure. Yeah. Well, one of them is just a misconception is that you can handle it on your own. And that's rarely the case. People don't have experience. Most people don't have experience being a caregiver for someone. So they're trying to handle it all by themselves. And then the other one is a question of timing is a misconception. And what we run across is there will always be time. I will always be able to do this. Well, what we're actually finding is the time is now. Don't delay, because more often than not, we get the call after a adverse experience.
Once it's
or
gotten
event, a fall
further,
or multiple falls.
Yeah.
In which case, if we were called earlier, it would be the case that we would have been able to prevent that fall.
Often it's the adult children of aging parents who see the need first, but it's not always a comfortable topic to discuss. Do you have any recommendations for our listeners?
Yeah, you bet. 3 main things. One is stay positive. speak on the positive rather than it's so easy to slip into mom, dad, and talk about their loss of independence,
Mobility,
and
right?
such.
Yeah.
So talk in terms of positive things. Oh, there's a great service you'll really enjoy. The other is start small and go slow. That lines up well with the timing. Start now and start small before you need extensive services. And then go slowly. Introduce the caregiver at a short time span rather than a full shift. And then the final one is start with what I'd call home helper services. So caregiving services, we go all the way to dressing, feeding, bathing, and transfers and the like. Well, if you can start early enough with just simple chores around the home, those are luxury services.
Right.
Those are things
Right.
that people want to have done in their home. And then we can grow and progress as needs change.
So do you guys actually provide that light of care?
Yes, we do.
So give me an example of a client that you've helped in that way.
Yeah, sure. And by the way, we even go as light as companionship.
Just coming over to say
Hang
hi.
out, play checkers,
time.
play chess, spend time, read a book,
Okay.
talk, discuss, check in on somebody. But yeah, we have several customers who will start with just once a month because trying to do home chores is a frequent cause of falls. When you're younger and stronger, pushing a vacuum around is not a big deal. Well, as you lose some mobility and balance, doing chores like that.
Is it
more
true that gravity gets stronger the older you get?
difficult. It is true. Absolutely. Ask Isaac Newton.
Yeah, I recently read that there's 3 factors around falls, that if you have these 3, it's a 100% chance you'll fall. Any balance issues, muscle weakness, or 4 medications or more, and the statistics are 100% for a fall.
Wow.
That's really scary because, as you age, those are things that are typically going to be there. So,
And if
yeah.
people were listening to this whole segment, they heard the commercial that the CDC has actually published an article that falls are a number one cause of injury and death. And it's not,
Right.
you hear that, that's a sensational title. So it's not literally that the fall is a death, equates to a death.
Complications.
Right.
But it's, it's the visit to the hospital and then a downward spiral.
And I can tell
leads to
you
death.
specifically, my wife's grandfather, he fell. That was the beginning. And it was linked to the medications he was taking, whether he took too many, too little, and they were both fiercely independent.
Right.
So I think the message we're hearing from Tim here is sprinkle a little bit on, right? It's easier, right, to do a rent increase when you do it a little bit at a time. It's easier for a family that has parents that are super independent, that you just love them to death, but they just need a little bit of extra help and you can't always be there. So I love it. I really appreciate that. So as we wrap up here, just give us a quick differentiate how you guys are different and then how our listeners can get a hold of you.
Yeah, you bet. There's a lot of care agencies out there, and one of the things that differentiates us is the second piece of our mission. You mentioned that in my bio, which is to serve the underemployed. So often these caregivers are bouncing from one care job to another, one agency to another, and one of the differentiating factors for us is that we're really looking out for their career progression, even if it means leaving us and leaving our industry, which motivates them to give that extra higher level of care to our clients.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Now, how do our listeners get a hold of you?
You bet. We have a website, agapeinhomecare.com. Agape is spelled AGAPE, or our phone number is 425-818-9006.
Awesome. Tim, thank you for coming in today.
You bet.
Thanks, Tim.
All right. After the break, we're going to be welcoming Edwin Wanji with Sphere Solar Energy. Who knew that solar panels are really economical in the Northwest? So come on back and we'll have a little more Real Talk.